Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jason Zimmerman. The Village of Kimberly says they plan to sit down with neighboring Little Chute next month to discuss the future of their shared Fox Valley Metro Police Department. This comes weeks after they discuss leaving the partnership in favor of contracting with the Allegheny County Sheriff's Department to reduce spending. New at 10, Drew Best attended the village board meeting. He brings us the latest from officials and community members.
Kimberly officials continuing to discuss the future of their involvement with the Fox Valley Metro Police Department. They continue to seek input from the public on their next steps.
We don't make decisions in the dark. We are here to serve the people. There's not a person that ran and sits on our board of trustees that ran with an axe to grind. They're here to serve.
Many community members, including Sean Massey, say they still have concerns about the village's cost-saving estimates with this proposed transition to Allegheny County Sheriff's Department.
In the information that they've shared, they've only really shared 1 year's worth of financial data. So what does this look like, 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road?
Village officials say 380 people submitted responses to their survey regarding the change, 85% of submissions made by Kimberly residents. 75% of those responses shared they preferred to stay with Fox Valley Metro PD.
I think in terms of the local control and who the officers are on the street and the relationships that they've built with the students in our school districts, that's much more important than potential cost savings.
Some residents wanted a referendum to decide the issue, but village officials say it's legally not possible under state legislature. The meeting between Kimberly and Little Chute is expected to take place on July 14th.
It really came to the forefront that we have some fractures in our communication, and we'd have to have more cadence, and we have to talk about long-term expenditures, processes, what we look like in 10 years, and no fault of anyone. We just haven't gotten that cadence yet, and we want to start that.
Village officials say the survey responses will be posted to their website later this week. Reporting in Kimberly, Drew Best, Action 2 News.